What's up, everybody? Captain Gino here. I am sitting with my friend Bill. He's the owner of Mayhem Fishing. He's moved on to the chain. The guy's out there all the time. I know I haven't gotten to you guys in a long time, and I'm sorry. It's been a couple months since I've uploaded a video. I had surgery, which took me out of the game for 6 weeks, and since I've been back, I've been doing 2 and 3 guide trips a day. It's been absolutely madness. I had a couple cancellations because of COVID, so I thought it was important to get a video to you. Bill is on the chain as much as I am. I wanted to have him sit in with me and kind of go over some of the things that are happening on the chain right now. As you know, if you've been out there fishing, it is really good when you're on them, but you have to be on them. These fish are moving around, and it's like March and December and January right now. We've had some super warm months. When I first got back on the water, I want to say it was like the first week of December. And at the last week of November, we had cold water temps. Got down to 59 degrees. We had a really nasty cold front come through here, which is what these females need to start growing eggs. So as soon as I pop back on the chain, there's beds everywhere. We did some bed fishing December 9th, December 10th. They're on beds. We got some other fronts that came through, kind of nixed all of that. And I don't expect to see another wave of spawners coming up until we get some colder water temps. I mean, you're going to have little spawners here and there, but in order to get a real big wave of fish, we got to get these water temperatures down. They've been in the mid 70s, so everything for the majority is pre-spawn. And from what I found in Eustis and Harris, you really need to be in like 10 foot maximum, but the majority of your fish are going to be 6 to 8 foot, and then you're going to have plenty of fish up shallow as well. You can really get it done anywhere in those depths. But one mistake, a big mistake I see a lot of anglers make, I was out on the north end of Harris the other day, and guys are rolling down the Kissimmee grass line, and I see a boat come through. It was like a line of boats, 5 or 6 boats. Guy catches a fish, keeps moving. Guy catches a fish, keeps moving. What they don't realize is those are shell bars leading up to it. So if you do catch a fish, kind of stay put and kind of figure out why that fish was there, where he might be coming from. You know, is it a resident fish? Is it a non-resident fish? Is there a shell down there maybe? If you can't figure out on your electronics store, Carolina rig around, kind of check around, because you will miss the boat. And you can't get deterred this time of year. It can be super frustrating, but also super rewarding. So if you're willing to, put in the work and put in the time, you're going to run into the fish. But if you start going down a shoreline, or you start going down shell bars, or you're in a grass bed and you move around a little bit and fly out of there, you might miss that school of fish. They're not everywhere, but they're all together. So for the most part, if you stick with it and you thoroughly work an area, don't get to jumping around a lot. I know a lot of people are in Dora and a lot of people are in Beuclaire, and there's a lot of big bags coming out of there. But the rest of the chain's doing exceptional. Harris, they've had spray boats in Harris, I think 2 weeks ago, right? They had the helicopters. They torched all of the grass in Harris. So if you can find a little bit of eelgrass or something like that, that's a golden nugget. It's a lot easier to stay with these fish because you might have some resident fish, plus you'll have some non-resident fish pull in there. Those spots will be key areas for you if you're in Harris. Eustis, tons of hydrilla. Dora has got a decent amount of grass. Not much hydrilla left, but still plenty of grass over there. Beuclaire, ton of grass, also a ton of boats. But you've been doing good in Dora too, right?
I have, yep.
Yeah, he's been catching pretty good in Dora.
Dora, Eustis, and Harris have been pretty solid. And I can't stress enough what you said about once you find a fish, work that area. Work, even if it's a small area, work there. I mean, 3 or 4 casts in the same 2-foot area sometimes is, you might cast her 3 times, think there's nothing there, and that 4th time the fish will be there. I mean, the fish are going to be in that area. You just need to work it.
Yeah, for sure. It's so crazy how that works. Like, I was fishing the New Year's tournament here a few days ago, and we had 2 areas picked out, and there's one grass patch that's like in the middle of the lake, and then there's another grass patch. And I thought I had this to myself. The one grass patch is like a mile from any shoreline. It's literally out in the middle of nowhere, but apparently someone else had the same plan. At any rate, it's a really substantial size, like the 2 soccer fields, but we can only get bit in 2 areas, and it was either side of each grass patch, and there was a little bit of shell there. And you could see on the 360, you could see these schools of fish moving around. Had I just, not knowing that that's the deal, thinking it's like any other time of the year, and, picked through and worked, a lot of that grass patch and not caught a fish, I might have just written it off. You really need to look around that. Whatever cover or area you're fishing, you really got to put some focus on it and figure out where those fish are at. And when you do, it can be super rewarding. Bill was talking to me before we got everything, the cameras fired up. and he was catching. How long ago was this? You catching that fish? You caught that fish off the bed?
Just Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah. Oh, you were there. That's right.
right.
So yeah, he had cast in there. He was fishing Harris, and gets bit. Throws back in there, gets bit again. And he said it had to be like this little tiny area, and finally ended up catching the fish. But and it's the same little spot he's been catching them in over and over and over again. And it's kind of like a spot within a spot. And those are the things you guys got to look for. Do not start running around a whole lot. Just settle down, pick an area, pick a cove, kind of dumb it down a little bit. You're going to catch them. All the lakes are fishing really good. Guys have been spun out in Griffen a little bit because they really did a good job of getting rid of all the grass over there. But there is still fresh hydrilla in Griffen. That hydrilla is going to be primarily the south end of Griffen. You'll find a bunch of hydrilla down there. And then the north end of Griffen, a lot of that hydrilla is dead, unfortunately. The beautiful thing about that is you still have tons of eelgrass and tons of pepper grass. So just change your focus to those types of grass offshore. Mouths of the canals are still rocking. Shell's actually playing a little bit in Griffen right now. The Ocklawaha is absolutely on fire. This is the time of year to fish it if you're going to make that run that way. I've not been to Apopka. Have you been to Apopka?
I've not.
I don't go. Apopka's not my thing. I don't go there. Yeah. Carlton's been really good. You can literally just catch them in the eelgrass in Carlton. Carlton's almost lined with eelgrass all the way around, end to end. All that eelgrass has been really good. But I can't stress enough, they're not everywhere, but they're all together. So just look for those schools of fish. If you get bit, figure it out. Hunker down and really put your focus there. I have not seen any bedding fish lately, any substantial amounts of bedding fish in the last few weeks. It's just the water temps are just too warm for it. Jerkbait bite's been like mediocre at best for me. They've really wanted something fast and loud. I was out with a guy the other day, and he was throwing a really loud vibrating lipless bait, and I was trying to throw one knockers and two taps, and these fish would not touch it. It had to be as loud and as fast as you can crank it to get bit, and if you did it, you could get bit. The chatterbait bite's been really good. A lot of these fish have been wanting to feed up for the most part, so drop shot's really good. Carolina rig has been really good. I've only caught about 10% of our fish have come on a worm out there and fishing deeper water, but you've been fishing a lot up shallow, right? Fishing the Kissimmee grass and stuff.
The Texas rig up shallow.
Yep.
But I'm always looking for something to go with that Kissimmee grass, right? So I either want a shell bed there or some hydrilla right just off of it, and it seems that's where the fish are.
Some little difference.
There's got to be something to bring them into that Kissimmee grass, because
otherwise it's just barren wasteland, right?
Right. Otherwise, in my opinion, you're wasting your time, or you may get lucky and run into something, but you're really wasting a lot of time.
You're spinning your wheels. And I think that what plays into that is bait. These fish are really feeding up, and they're super aggressive. So something that's going to hold bluegills in the area, something that's going to hold shad in the area, something like that's really going to help you. 9th Street Canal's also been really good. Guys have been catching really good at 9th Street Canal. White House Canal, I went in there the other day, and the place was just flooded with fish. It was insane. Palakalaha, not so much, man. I really didn't see a whole lot of what I like to see in there. One of the spring canals, some guy put a bridge across. You can't access that right now. But for the most part, these canals have got some fish in them now. I had a client that hired me. She moved out on the chain, and she bought her house based on she wanted to retire and fish. She wanted a place she could be at and catch fish, and she hadn't caught fish in that area. And I said, it's going to happen any day. We went out on a guide trip literally, I think the next day or the day after she caught a 6-pounder out of the canal. So they're getting in there real good. But typical pre-spawn areas, look for mouths of the canals, look for shell bars leading up to Kissimmee grass. You guys, you'll be surprised at how many shell bars are on the chain. There's sections of Kissimmee grass that have the shell bars that are 1,500 feet long. So try to find that, and you'll do really good. The water clarity's been good despite them spraying 700 acres of hydrilla on the chain.
That's true.
It's been pretty good. We had some weird algae blooms last year, and the water was a lot dirtier, and things didn't play out like they did the year prior. But things are changing. The dynamics of the lakes are changing because of water clarity. Dora's dirtied up a little bit, at least on the outside of the Dora Canal. That end of the lake has been a little bit dirtier than it has been in past years. And Eustis is looking good, man. The water quality in Eustis looks fantastic. The fishing in Eustis has been fantastic. I've been spending a ton of time there. It's been really, really, really good. The deeper shell bars have been crap. Like, if you get in 10 foot of water on Eustis, you're probably too deep. Really just get yourself in like 6 to 8 foot of water if you're going to play that shell bar game. But be prepared to have a bunch of shell bars, because I'll go out and I'll scan 50, 60 shell bars and have nothing. And then I'll hit one and there'll be 50 bass sitting on it. So be ready to cover some water if you're going to play that game. The shell bars in Harris are doing really good again now that they got rid of all the grass. When Harris is a grass lake, the shell bar game, you end up chasing your tail. I do it all the time because I love to fish shell bars over anything else. And I'll blow half a day playing around on that shell out there, and there's grass in the lake, and it's not going to produce. You'll be at mediocre at best. So no grass in Harris. Shell's good. Eelgrass is good. Tons of eelgrass on the south end of Harris. You'll find some eelgrass on the north end of Harris. The majority of the eelgrass is going to be on or around shell, and you're going to find it in 6 foot of water. So just set your side scan up to scan down to where you can just barely see the Kissimmee grass, and make one pass down a shoreline, and you should have every patch of eelgrass dialed in that area. Haven't seen much for peppergrass, and I have not been in Little Harris much. Have you been in Little Harris at all?
I haven't been in there at all.
I don't venture there much.
Nope.
The bridge has been lights out. The shell on the bridge has been really good. So the north side of the bridge, first like 6 or 7 columns, really good. And there's a shell bar behind it. So like if you go to the Little Harris side, that shell bar back there has been really, really exceptional. And then also the south end of the 19 bridge as well has been good. And that's going to be the first 6 columns or so. You can find groups of stage fish out there. It's been exceptional. Surprisingly, right now the brush has been doing really good. It usually sucks this time of year, but I don't think the fish know what time of year it is. I think it's so warm, they're like, whatever, dude, I'll be on brush. So we pulled up to a brush pile Saturday and caught 12 fish off of one Christmas tree. So they're there, and the fishing's been really good. But stay with moving baits for now, unless you're fishing Kissimmee grass edges and you want to pinpoint isolated cover, which Bill's been catching a ton of fish doing it. He's been catching a pile of them. So if you're out there struggling to get bit, just find you some Kissimmee grass edges, and like Bill said, look for the differences. Find you some docks in Kissimmee grass, some Kissimmee grass and pepper grass, Kissimmee grass and eel grass. The pepper grass has been awesome too lately.
Yeah, the pepper grass has been really on fire.
Yeah, it sucks for me in the summertime. I don't do good on pepper grass in the summertime, but the colder months, it's freaking awesome. And the pepper grass has been loaded.
And I'm sure, I've caught a few crappie in that pepper grass too, so I'm sure that's what's bringing the bass in the feed.
You cursed me, man. You told me, I went out there the other day and I started catching crappie off of it. I'm like, I haven't seen a crappie. I go over there, I'm like, bink, crappie, bink, crappie, bink. I'm like, damn it, Bill. we needed to cull some fish. We couldn't seem to do it. We fished Saturday. I think we came in 5th. We ended up chasing our tail a little bit. My partner broke off on a couple big fish, so there's some big ones swimming around there with a mag vibe in their mouth somewhere. Oh, the mag worm. This time of year, I generally throw the smaller worm. The mag worm has been it. And then and also like a Gambler Fat Ace has been really good. The bigger Cinco, and I'm throwing that 8-inch Pippinator, which usually I would think for me, like the summer months, I usually drop down to a smaller worm, but that 8-inch worm has been absolutely lights out. It's been really good, and the mag vibe's been really good. I'm using, because they like to feed up, I'm using a floating worm. CPF's the only one I know of that makes it right now. They have a Magnum floating vibe. It is a massive worm, and for me, I associate that 100% with summertime fishing. I literally took them all out of my boat except for one pack. And we were fishing Saturday, and I was like, you know what, these fish want to eat. They didn't want to eat down the bottom. If I threw a Texas rig, I couldn't really get bit. And I'd get bit okay on the Carolina rig when I'd come over the grass. So I'm like, let me just put something floating, because we had a bunch of fish on shell bars. I put that on there with a light wire hook, like a 5-aught light wire hook, and that bait stays up off the bottom a couple feet, and it was absolutely lights out. We caught our biggest fish on that. We had a 5 and a 4 on the boat, and 3 threes. We just couldn't seem to get rid of those threes, man. We caught like 60 fish, but just couldn't happen. And that's another thing, guys. These big fish, their feeding window will shrink under falling water temps. So if you get an area and you're catching a little bit smaller fish, that doesn't mean you should leave. Just kind of look at the weather, see what's happening. If it's high skies and it's still cool out in the morning, all of our bigger fish have been coming at like 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. I've been getting my biggest bites throughout the day. If you get in an area like it was weird. Saturday we actually caught one big one in the morning, but we didn't get another bite for another hour or so after that, and then it turned back on again. But if you get an area and you're catching smaller fish, do not leave and start running around the lake. You're going to miss that window of opportunity and end up short with not enough fish or empty-handed. So just stay put. Gator hole, obviously, has been fantastic this time of year. Tyler was in there the other day. He caught him pretty good. You'll see his video coming out. If you haven't checked out Tyler's fishing posts, you need to check his channel out. The guy's on the chain a lot. He does a lot of fishing, and he's got a lot of good information on there. So check that out. But he caught him pretty good in the gator hole. Guys have been doing really good with Texas rigs, swimming them through the middle of the gator hole, throwing jerk baits, Carolina rigs, buzz baits around the edges. The buzz bait bite has been lights out. Topwater bite too. We've been really catching them really good on topwater all day long. If you get some calmer conditions, it's good. Topwater baits in the canals. I go to a smaller topwater bait in the canals. I go to a very small crankbait and a very small swim bait. And a full-size jerkbait. The Vision 110 is what I throw in the canals, and it does really well. You'll find that in the canals this time of year, any gold color works really well. I feel like because the shiners kind of terrorize these bedding fish, they kind of got like some sort of vendetta. Plus, you will find lots of shiners in the canals this time of year. If you go into the clear canals, you can see them swim around. So I just switch exclusively throw gold in the canals. And I like white offshore in Harris, Eustis, and Griffen. And I throw gold in Dora. So that should help you with some color choices there. I feel like we might be missing. Are we missing anything? Water temperatures are around 73, 72, 73. And I think do we have any cold weather coming?
I think we have some coming up.
Yeah, it's supposed to get a little bit cooler. Yeah. We're going to need that. You know, last December we had a really good wave of spawners. Last January we had a really good wave of spawners. If we don't get some colder water temperatures right now, the January spawn is going to be mediocre at best, and then February and March will be lights out. So this will be the first year in 3 years where the later months, February, March, I feel are going to be the better months for the spawn, whereas last year, December, January were the best months for the spawn. The year before, November, December were insane. So it looks like we're going to be moving to those later months, that February and March, and you'll find that if we get the cold enough weather this month and they pull up the spawn and we get a decent wave, if we get down in the 50s and then get back to a warming trend, your biggest fish will pull up on this next wave. The fish that pulled up in the last wave, you had some okay ones, but you didn't really have those real big girls up there. Most of those big girls were still offshore feeding up. So, but I think that about covers it, right? Haven't been in Denam. Haven't been Denam at all. Dead River's been fantastic. Dora Canal's been fantastic. There's no running water currently on the chain. I will leave a link in the description to an interactive map that will allow you to touch different areas on the map to tell you what the water levels are, the water quality, and the water flow. So you can see where the flowing water is coming from, where it's going to, how many cubic feet per second they're drawing. So that'll save you from having to drive around and search for it. Forever, I drove around looking for running water and had no clue that site was there. I'll leave that link in the description. Also leave a link to FWC in the description so you can kind of go on and see where the grass is. They have heat maps of where all the grass is on the chain, as well as the dates that they're going to spray that grass. So that'll save you some time for going out looking for hydrilla. It's a pretty neat way to eliminate water. But I think that just about covers it. Right? Got anything else to add?
I don't.
I think we got it covered. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. So sorry for not getting to you guys. I've been super duper busy. I will get some fishing videos to you guys real soon. Me and Tyler went out and filmed a couple weeks ago, and I haven't had time to edit it. We caught like 40 fish from noon until 4 o'clock with some real big ones in there. We've knocked out some real big fish here in the last couple weeks. So hopefully we'll get those videos to you guys soon. If you have any questions, my cell phone will also be in the description. You can reach out to me. Please text me. It is so hard to get a hold of me. If you try calling me, I don't even look at my phone when I'm on the boat. It just goes in a glove box and goes in a drawer. Bill knows how hard it is to get a hold of me. I do not. At the end of the day, I'll text you back.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I'll text you back. And I don't mean anything bad by it, but I just stay really, really busy, guys. And when I'm with my customers, my focus is 100% on them. 95% of my business is tournament anglers and people looking to learn local waters. So my focus is on them and their events or what they're trying to achieve, and I do not try to take away from them in any way, shape, or form. So when you get on my boat, you'll get the same treatment. Until then, you just need to text me and I'll get back to you. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there. So sorry for not getting to you guys sooner. We'll get you some more content coming up ASAP. Until next time, everybody, tight lines.